Hi everyone, welcome back to this set of PMP drag and drop questions. It's such an amazing way to prepare for your PMP exam. We'll be taking these questions from the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, Process Groups Practice Guide and the Agile Practice Guide to get a really well-rounded view of projects and things to do, the different scenarios that we might face. We'll be looking at definitions, matching up the definitions when we're doing our drag and drop questions, the order and process of things, and scenarios and problem solving and how to solve these problems. And of course, I'll be making this download available for people in my course on Udemy. That is currently the highest rated PMP course on Udemy, which is absolutely fantastic. If you want to check that out, it would be great to have you there. Let's get into the first question. Dealing with complexity, an iterative process of adding greater levels of detail as they become available. Okay, that to me sounds like progressive elaboration. And a lot of these techniques for dealing with complexity are actually match up with the Agile way of work. So Agile was sort of created to deal with a lot of this complexity and uncertainty and even volatility, that classic VUCA that you hear about. And so what's the next one? A small, low-cost version of the real thing. That sounds like a prototype. So we want a small, low-cost version of the real thing to see if the real thing might actually work. That could be a model, or it could be a storyboard, or even a process map, just to see if it's going to work. Tests of similar items to the real thing in a controlled environment to identify cause and effect. Experiments and simulation, very similar, these things, but if it's a test, we're going to go with an experiment. And if it's a scenario, similar scenarios or data used to find insights, I think we're going to do a simulation there. And Monte Carlo simulation is something you'll find in quantitative data, especially for our risk, where we do 1,000 different runs or tens of thousands of different runs of the same scenario, but with different variables for each of the inputs. Anyway, data is one of my favorite things, if you can't tell, but also one of my favorite things is we got that correct. How did you go with that one? Dealing with complexity on page 120 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. What a wonderful start to this little section. Okay, tailoring scenarios. Use value stream mapping. Oh, so we've got the approach and the situation here. So if stakeholders are not engaged, let's have a look. Well, which way do we do this? Let's start on the right-hand side. When do we use value stream mapping and Kanban boards to visualize the work and track issues? Maybe if there are issues and there are high rates of scrap, we're going to use value stream mapping to map out the process and to find non-value added items and to find rework and queues and all those sorts of things. That's what value stream mapping is for, to find issues and waste in the process. Okay, so we got that one. This one's pretty tricky. Streamline approval decisions through fewer people up to certain value thresholds. We're going to do that if there are long delays for approvals. So if we have long delays for approvals, we can have fewer people approving them. And so it's not going through too many people. And we can have different value thresholds. So we don't have to have people approve millions of dollars. We can have smaller amounts and different thresholds there. That's actually a really good problem-solving one. Use feedback loops to check whether sufficient information is being shared. People unsure of how to do the work or stakeholders not engaged. Well, the last one is adding more guidance and training and verification. That's definitely for if we're not sure of how to do the work. And that means feedback loops and checking on information that we're sharing will help with stakeholder engagement. That was actually pretty tricky. Let's check. Okay, we did get it correct, so that's good. How did you guys go with that one? Page 151, under tailoring suggestions in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. So that's a pretty good one. All right, Tuckman's ladder, one of our favorites. We love good old Tuckman's ladder. Team members are getting acquainted, establishing ground rules, and forming initial impressions. That could be forming, unless we've got another one, but we'll start there. Team members are building relationships, resolving conflicts, and working together as a team. They are storming. Team members are team members are disagreeing over roles and responsibilities, creating collaboration challenges. That's more like storming. Maybe if they're building relationships, they are starting to come into norming. And the team complete their tasks, reflect on their achievements, and transition out of their roles. They are adjourning. They're finishing up. The team is operating efficiently, leveraging strong collaboration to achieve high levels of productivity. They are performing. That's when we build that high level of trust, and now we are performing really, really well as a team. And that one came through. Wonderful stuff. Page 166, PMBOK Guide 7th edition, Tuckman ladder. Excellent. How did you guys go with that one? All right, artifact scenarios. Ken would like to transition the company to a new customer relationship management system and needs to evaluate the benefit, costs, risks to secure approval. He does that with a business case, of course, before a project charter. So Mary has received approval to develop new software and needs to outline the project scope, stakeholders, and roles to formally authorize the project. Oh, I was going to go with project management plan, but if it's to formally authorize the project, I think it's going to be project charter. Well, let's see. Tim needs to develop a document defining how his project will be executed, monitored, and controlled and closed. That's our project management plan. Rob is developing strategies for engaging people, managing expectations, and ensuring effective communication throughout the project. That's going to be our stakeholder management plan, how we're managing the stakeholders. And that is perfect. Wonderful stuff. Page 184, Strategy Artifacts in the PMBOK Guide, 7th edition. Predictive and adaptive scenarios. Okay, predictive has fixed scope and requirements at the beginning usually, and then we need a change request if we make changes to those as the project goes along. Agile has adaptive planning. Agile also has incremental delivery, and Predictive has sequential step-by-step phases. Predictive also has detailed planning, whereas Agile has our cross-functional teams. And do you remember our cross-functional teams? The T-shaped team member. So a broad range of different skills, but one deep specialty. So that's our T-shaped generalizing specialist. Very, very important to have in the team if you can. Let's quickly check that one. And there it is. Excellent. So those are your predictive and agile ways of working. All right, let's see what we've got next. More predictive and agile and adaptive. Excellent. I like these ones because they're some of my favorites. The product backlog, of course, is one of our agile ways of working. The sprint backlog is also one of our agile ways of working, where we put enough user stories for the next 2-week sprint. The work breakdown structure we'll usually use in predictive. And what's something similar in Agile? It could be user story mapping, or it could be breaking down epics into user stories. Change management plan, that's going to be in predictive. And risk management plan, that's going to be in predictive. Burn down chart is what we're going to use in Agile. So let's quickly check those ones. Wonderful stuff. All right, that has come through. How did you guys go with that one? I like those ones. They're not too difficult. All right, predictive and adaptive. This is good. I love this. Great sequence of questions, this one. Agile has user stories. Work breakdown structure. That's going to be predictive. Project charter. Every project has a project charter. So we can kick off a project, whether it's Agile or Waterfall or Predictive. It still needs that project charter to get access to the resources. So that means rolling wave planning we're going to use in either Agile or Predictive, or when we combine them together. It's a hybrid approach. Let's just double check. And there we go. Excellent work. All right. Now, hopefully that's the last. There we go. So no more adaptive and predictive ones, but 3 in a row. That's pretty good. Now we've got some more tricky ones, I think. The project team has been experiencing communication delays and misunderstandings. If they're doing that, they need an information radiator to get more communication, to communicate all of the project information in the team area. I think that's good. The team development team is facing issues with frequent rework and misaligned expectations. Oh, hang on a minute. Co-located teams could have also worked here. So, let's have a look. For this one, I think continuous feedback loops will help us with frequent rework and misaligned expectations. So we're getting more feedback and closer feedback. The project team is struggling with visibility into the project status. Now that is our information radiator, leading to confusion and delays in addressing issues. That means communication delays. We want to co-locate our team so that we get that close communication. We don't have to wait 3 days for someone to respond to an email. We can just look over our shoulder and chat to the person who's sitting right there. That means schedule crashing. The project is falling behind schedule due to unforeseen delays, and the team needs to find ways to accelerate the completion of critical tasks. They can do that with schedule crashing, which is throwing resources and money at the project to expedite certain tasks on the critical path. Okay, and that one has come through. Project situations. Very, very cool. All right, more project situations. These are pretty good, actually. So the team is planning a new project and they need to assess what they're good and bad at to make informed decisions. Is that a retrospective or is that going to be good and bad? So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's going to be our SWOT analysis. The team is struggling with aligning their development efforts and ensuring that they deliver features in a strategic order. That's our product roadmap. And a product roadmap doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be the sequence of features that we're delivering. Or we can put it on a Gantt chart or a calendar, or we can put it on a schedule network diagram. Any of those things will do. It's just a way of visualizing how we're going to deliver the work. After completing several sprints, the team is experiencing recurring issues and inefficiencies that are affecting their performance. Let's use a retrospective to check in on the work and improve our process if we can. The project manager needs to quickly estimate the duration and cost of a new project but lacks detailed information. We can use an analogy, a similar item or a similar project to estimate quickly. And there we go. Those answers are correct. Wonderful stuff. Now you're up to the last one for this particular section. You're doing a fantastic job. And surprise, surprise, it's more Agile versus Predictive. Well, I love these ones, so I don't mind. I hope you like them as well, but we can do these pretty quickly. Scope is fixed on a predictive project. Scope is variable because we just reprioritize the scope in the product backlog. Exactly. Scope management plan, we plan all of our scope up front, but we have a product backlog in Agile, epics and user stories we have in Agile, and deliverables and work packages. And you see how these things are very much the same, but just with different names and slightly different ways of working. But again, in Agile, we just want to keep the effort to manage all this stuff light. So we're spending more time doing the work and less time on all of the documentation. Let's quickly check. And there we go. Wonderful stuff. And also wonderful stuff is that this is the last question in this particular section. So you've done an absolutely fantastic job. Well done in getting through this, and well done in improving yourself and doing the work and learning and getting better and doing everything that you need to do to pass the PMP exam, and also to improve your general project management skills, which will take you so many places because you're delivering value for organizations. It's such a valuable skill and you're doing the right thing, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.